going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We have another special for you this year, very similar to our Smallville special and retrospective back in 2021 when that show turned 20 years old. We have another show that we grew up with that is turning 20 years old this year, and that is Supernatural. With the Supernatural hunting brothers Sam and Dean going across the country. Did they ever go global? Did they ever go international?
They go to Scotland once.
That's right. That's
They
right.
go to Scotland once for
Yeah.
like 5 minutes.
Yeah. So yeah, we're going to be doing a giant retrospective of Supernatural. We're going to be covering all 15 seasons, all the ups and downs, the bumps in the road, all the middle chunk of the show that wasn't that great. But first, we got to start it off with the season that started it all, and that is season 1. Dun dun. Carry on my wayward sons.
So while you're on that, I just need to make a quick warning to people that watch season 1 or have maybe not seen the real season 1. If you watch season 1 on streaming, they do
Oh
not
yeah.
have the music rights that the actual show used.
See, I was thinking about because my DVDs are like the Supernatural DVDs are all the way over there. So I was like, do I really feel like going to the shelf to get my Supernatural
You
DVD?
got
And then I
for
remember
season 1, you
and then I
got it.
remember that time that you said it was on Netflix and they didn't have the music rights. I'm like, nah, fuck that.
No, yeah, literally all the classic rock, all those classic songs, not in season 1 on Netflix.
Yeah, they're probably not in the
Horrible.
rest of the show either.
So if you watch Supernatural for the first time on Netflix, you have not seen season 1 as it was intended.
Yeah,
So
yeah, there you go.
get the DVD.
Yeah, that's our physical media plug there. That's why
Yeah,
physical media always reigns supreme.
yeah.
So
But
yeah,
yeah, season 1 of Supernatural.
season 1 of Supernatural doesn't have much of a plot. The plot is mostly find dad. It's just
No, yeah,
find
yeah.
dad. It really is, and then you get the stuff with Meg later on. But yeah, it's find dad, find the yellow-eyed demon, find the thing that killed their mother. You know, saving people, hunting things, the family
Family
business.
business.
I
No, season
swear, every time I see that in the recaps, because all the episodes, this is like one of those DVD collections where they have the recaps before each episode. You can turn them like on and off.
yeah, yeah.
Um, but like I always keep them on because it's just fun. But like it's become religion for me to just you know recite it as it's happening. It's kind of like the
Yeah,
Nicole Kidman AMC ad.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, it's become religion, and it's
Yeah.
just fun. It's just a little fun thing I love doing with season 1.
So I guess I'll ask you before I get into mine. How did you get into Supernatural?
You actually showed me Supernatural. I was over your house one time. You showed me the pilot, and then you didn't even show me the next episode. You showed me another episode, Scarecrow, and Scarecrow has forever remained my favorite season 1 episode.
Wow, I forgot about that.
Yeah. Yep.
I do remember when you were first going through it with like your family watching it. You guys like cruised through it. I
Yeah,
remember.
it took a lot of convincing to my mom to watch it too. Like I
Yeah,
told my brother about it. I was like, "Hey, it's got it's got the guy who played Jason Teague on Smallville. This is what he's doing now. Like I really like Jason Teague, but I want to see what he's up to now." And I was just like, I think they like demon hunt and all that. I don't think it's gonna be like super duper horror because we weren't into horror back then.
no.
My brother's not even into horror now. He's like, "How do you watch that stuff?"
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, it was because we both got into this when we were probably like 13, 12,
Yeah,
13.
it was definitely a couple years after it started airing. I think I got into this when season 2 was just finishing airing
Hmm.
or
Yeah, that makes sense because
yeah, or right after it had aired.
I know I watched the season 2 finale live,
Okay. Yeah,
so
see,
I was caught up by then.
I didn't watch any of season 2, but going back to that story where I got my family into it, yeah, we watched like it took like I said, it took a lot of convincing my mom to watch it because she thought it was like a documentary series where it's like, oh, they go into haunted places and try and
We're
like,
like ghost hunters or
yeah, like
something.
literally,
Yeah,
that's what she thought it was. And then
yeah,
when she realized that's not what it was, she's like, what? So we watched like 6 or 7 in one day.
yeah. I remember that.
And then I remember that day she got so hooked that they had announced. I think they had that day had announced the release date of season 2 on DVD, so she pre-ordered season 2. She was so excited to watch it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
For me, it was obviously I watched season 4 of Smallville, so I knew
yeah,
Jensen.
yeah,
And I knew Jensen was on a show where he was like hunting monsters with a brother. And then I think it just aired after Smallville one time. The first episode of Supernatural I ever watched. I forget the name of it right now. It's the season 2 episode where Gordon is hunting Sam.
Bloodlust? No,
No,
that's three. It's
yeah,
Hunt. I think it's called Hunted.
hunted, and it's yeah. Ava shows up for like the first time.
Yeah.
That's the first episode I ever watched. I was like, what the hell's going on? But this is
Okay.
pretty
Okay. Yeah.
entertaining.
Yeah. I was gonna bring this up in season two, but because we got some criticism on our Smallville seasons that we were kind of jumping around on talking about other episodes from other seasons when we were supposed to be talking about the season we're supposed to be
Right,
talking about.
right.
But I just have to bring it up for a minute. Yeah, I remember like because it was that time where it was Smallville season 5, and then I think I don't know if Supernatural aired right after it the whole time, but it was
I feel
just
like it did for the most part.
I think it did for the most part until Smallville ended because for the longest time it was just all right. Like there was this 2 hour block that we had that we just sat down in our houses and watched Smallville and Supernatural,
Yeah,
and there was this. I remember taping season 5, episode 12 of Smallville. I think Reckoning is episode 12.
yeah, it is.
Yeah, so we taped Reckoning, and then I or maybe it wasn't Reckoning, maybe it was another one because I think this episode of Supernatural is later on. But
Yeah, it would have been later because Reckoning would have been season 1 of
yeah,
Supernatural.
I think it was episode 2 of season 2 of Supernatural we taped because we missed Smallville that night, and then we couldn't stop the recording because we didn't have TiVo then. It was like actual VHS and you record it, you know. So the VHS also got an episode of Supernatural. It was the one with Helen Bryce for the werewolf one.
Yep,
And I
yep.
was just like, oh, she's back on Smallville. Oh, Jensen's back. But
Yeah.
I was like, who's this Tom Welling looking kid?
Wait,
I was so confused.
isn't this the guy that
I was like,
bullied Tom
where's
Welling?
Lana? Where's Lex? Where's
No, no,
Lionel? Where's
no.
everybody? Like,
Jared, Jared,
why is Jason Teague back?
Jared wasn't cheaper by the dozen with Tom Welling. Like he bullied Tom Welling.
Yeah, exactly. He was. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. He
Yeah,
made a
he
brief
was his big
cameo with
brother.
that, huh?
Yeah.
Yep. That's right. That must have been between Supernatural and Gilmore Girls because he came from Gilmore Girls.
Mm.
Yeah. But yeah, very, very fond memories of how this all started for us.
Season 1. I mean, season 1 of Supernatural because of the age I was at too. I had watched some horror movies with like my brother,
Right.
but I wasn't like a big horror
I
movie
was I
person
was at
yet.
that point where it was like, okay, Haunted Mansion's probably like the craziest I'll go, or Casper, you
Yeah,
know?
so some of these episodes were legitimately really creepy at the time.
Dude, especially the season like these early seasons of
Yeah.
Supernatural, like even when they stopped doing like the straightforward horde stuff and the angels and it's like all out angels and demons shit. Like these first 5 seasons are peak Supernatural.
Oh god, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean
easily.
that'll
Like
be
the scariest, the writing's great. Yeah. I mean, we'll get
spoiler alert for the rest of the series. I am very much of the opinion that Supernatural peaked at season 5.
should have
Has
ended
some
at 5.
fun. Has I don't know if it should have ended necessarily because there's some great fun stuff later that I would have missed.
Yeah.
But as far as actual quality of the plot, it peaks at season 5.
Yeah.
And like there's good stuff later, there's good stuff mixed in, but the core story of Supernatural is essentially over at the end of season.
That season 1 through 5 arc is so good.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah. Which was originally only supposed to be 3 seasons.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Which
I remember when well, we'll talk about it with season 3, but yeah, there was a period where I thought Supernatural was kind of gonna end, and then it lasted like 10 more years.
I think we all thought it was gonna like I think it caught us all by shock that it got extended past 5. Because 5
Yeah,
is where it was supposed to end.
yeah. I remember starting season 5, it was kind of not officially billed as the final season, but they were treating it like a final season at
Yeah.
first.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of creative changes after that, but we'll talk about that. So
Yeah.
season 1, yeah, like I said, it's essentially just find dad, find the yellow-eyed demon, find the thing that killed your mom, saving people, hunting things, the family business, but
I'm
also this monster of the week type of structure mixed in.
I'm glad that Eric Kripke, because originally it was like two like reporters or like investigators were like going around, kind of like X Files,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
he turned it into like two brothers in a muscle car road tripping,
With
fighting
the love
monsters.
for classic rock.
Yeah, like it turned into such like an, and it's one of the things that season one does so well that I feel like gets lost a bit later on in future seasons, way later. The Americana of it all, like
Yeah.
we're on a road trip across the U.S. and we're going to all these urban legends and local
Yeah.
legends,
Once
and
once they got the bunker, it kind of lost all that.
it lost a lot of like going to motels, seedy motels, and
Credit
like
card scams,
yeah,
hustling in pool games, you
yeah,
know?
like there's something very just like I don't know, cozy about that, or it feels like you're on a road trip with these guys. And
Yeah.
it's very, like you said, monster of the week. It's like you go to a case, you find a town, you go to find a town, you get a
And
case.
like and it like it like it feels like it's scary, but it doesn't really end up being that scary. It's not because it's cable television, but it's because it's like it's you made this analysis before or this comparison where you're watching The Conjuring. It's like, yeah, but you feel safe because Ed and Lorraine Warren are there. Like you have that sense of comfort that like these guys are going to save you. Even though it's
Yeah,
predictable that they're gonna like they're gonna save the day in the end, and
yeah.
that's how
They're
the
gonna
episode.
bust in with a rock salt shotgun and
Yeah,
shit.
exactly. Or like or like a devil's trap sigil or something.
Sure, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Or
Um
one of them speaking that same exorcism prayer over and
yeah.
over.
But like even though it's like, oh yeah, it's predictable they're gonna save the day at the end, but like you get that sense of like comfort and warmth that it's like, okay, there's somebody here to save not only them, but me as the audience member
Right,
from
right,
being
right.
scared, you know?
Yeah.
But I will give credit. Some of these episodes are legitimately freaky.
Well,
I rem
that's what I love about early Supernatural was
yeah.
they were still trying at times to scare you,
It pushed the
which
boundaries of
later
what
on they did not.
It pushed the boundaries of what they could do with cable network television. I don't know. I feel like when people talk about Supernatural now, they disregard like the first 5 seasons when they talk about it. But they don't really understand how scary it was because even I think it was in a 9 p.m. time slot. Like even then, like you would think something legitimately scary, like that is billed as being a scary show like this, would be on much later, like 10:30 or something. But like the
Mhm.
fact that they could get, especially when you get towards like the middle of the run, like 6, 7, the fact that they can get away with like a lot of what they're able to do, like they can actually show people getting like their heads cut off like that late at night, like
Sure,
stuff
yeah,
like that,
yeah.
that they couldn't necessarily show in season one, but season one is the one that paved the way for them to be able to do a little bit of more gorier stuff. So I got to give season one a lot of credit for that, especially in that time slot where it doesn't feel like it's on too late at night, but it's on late enough where it's kids are might be in bed or something.
Mhm. Well, what I also really liked about season one, as far as like the darkness, was the literal darkness of like
Yeah.
the look of the show was grungier, it was darker. They used like dark filters, like, and at
Yeah.
times it's like maybe it's like a little too dark or whatever, but like it gave the show like a very distinctive look
Yeah.
that like it kind of slowly went out of. But like if you
Yeah.
see clips of season one, it
Yeah.
looks like a completely different show
This
visually
this
than season 6 through 15
you
is
know what
like
you know
super
what it is?
bright.
You know what it is? It has the
Yeah.
Smallville effect for me because you could tell with Smallville, like the early seasons that they filmed in like on
Um,
location downtown
I,
Vancouver. And you
yeah.
could tell that they filmed in on location in these first few seasons, particularly season 1 with Supernatural on location in different places in
I think it's
Vancouver.
more than location though. I think
Yeah.
it's more than location. I don't think because a lot of Supernatural filmed on location later too.
Yeah.
It's the literal like coloring of the grading of the show
Well,
looks so different.
because I was gonna say, I feel like more later on in Supernatural and later on in Smallville, because you notice like in Smallville, like those like 8, 9, 10, when they're in Metropolis, it's literally just the same city block, just
Oh,
on a back lot.
it's a
That's how
backlot.
I
Yeah.
that I guess that's what I was trying to get at. That's how I feel with Supernatural later on, as opposed to season one, where it felt more like, okay, like you said, the Americana of it all. They're navigating their way in a cool ass muscle car through the different towns and cities and maybe backwoods of America
Well, I mean,
when America was normal.
that's definitely why I could see the comparison because Metropolis was obviously done to save money in Smallville. They were like,
Yeah,
we'll do a backline, we'll change it around, and then not really. And then
yeah,
like the bunker in Supernatural is definitely an effort to save money. Like we don't have
yeah,
to redress motels all the time. We could
yeah,
just film in this one, which is a it does give the show a whole different feeling. Then, like
yeah,
season one, I'm telling you, you watch a clip of season one, you
yeah.
watch a clip of
You
season
could tell it's
15,
season one.
they
Yeah,
are completely different shows
yeah,
visually.
yeah.
They are
I
so
agree.
different.
I agree.
And I think, unfortunately, a lot of the later seasons of Supernatural, I feel like they stopped being as interesting visually as far as camera work. A lot of season one, like they try to scare you, they try to build up
Exactly.
intensity.
And
There's a lot of
I think it's because there was so much turnover in the crew members. Like
yeah,
a lot of these crew members, I think there were a couple like Phil, I don't know how to say his last name, Phil Segricia or something. I think he came from Smallville onto this show, but like Ben Edlund was here from the beginning. I think he stayed throughout the whole thing.
Kim Manners unfortunately
Yeah,
passed like
yeah,
halfway
Kim
through,
in
or earlier than that actually.
season 4, I think. All those people that knew, like, okay, this is Eric Kripke's vision. This is what we're gonna do with season 1. This is what we're gonna try to do with season 2. Try and emulate season 1. Like season 1, that's the thing. I guess my problem with TV shows is that critics, like, I get critics are given episodes, like a certain amount of episodes ahead of time, but they always judge the show based on those episodes itself. They don't let the rest of the season play out. Like I get like you have to have publicity for the show, but like if you just let the season play out, like you know that season 1 is the stepping stones for what's to come for the next few seasons of Supernatural. That's why it has such an influence on where the show goes visually and storytelling wise, at least in the next 4 seasons.
It's interesting because Supernatural starts off as one thing and then kind of mutates into
It
something
evolves, yeah.
very
As a
different.
show should.
Yeah, as it should, but it is interesting to see like season one, like you said, it's find dad fighting monsters,
Yeah.
whether it be a hookman urban legend
Yeah.
or an occasional demon when they were still, intimidating.
Yeah.
And then it evolves into
I'm an angel of the
we
Lord.
are fist fighting God. We
Yeah,
are fist
exactly.
fighting God, and
Yeah.
we Lucifer is now by season 15 is not scary. He's a joke, and we are fist fighting God.
That is true.
Like it's just interesting to see. This is where it started from such a simple, scarier place, and it turns into very much. It embraces a lot of meta stuff later, which season one obviously doesn't do.
Right.
But I think we'll get into it as we go through the seasons. But season one, I think there's something very pure about
Yeah,
the
I,
scariness and
I agree.
the not even the scariness, but the attempt to be serious kind of horror
Yeah.
vibe, which
And
they
then
move
have like
away
that
from.
and then maybe have like that line of dialogue where there is a joke because you
Oh,
need to
yeah,
lighten the
there's
mood.
definitely still
Yeah.
jokes,
You
but
need to
there's
lighten
not
the mood. Yeah, exactly.
ridiculous nonsense like later
Exactly.
on.
Yeah, exactly. It's not the season 6 episode where it's like we're in an alternate dimension where apparently I'm playing somebody named Jared Padalecki and
Yeah,
you're
like, and
snap.
that was fine. That was fine for that. Like, that was like a fun thing. But then later seasons of Supernatural became more and more that, more and more meta, more and more jokey, to the
Yeah.
point where demons are talking about like Lady Gaga and stuff. And I'm like, what are we doing?
Exactly. Yeah, that's the thing, and I think that that's what makes season 1 so special. I do think there are some episodes that are a bit of a like on rewatch where I was just like, I'm not maybe ones I liked previously where I'm like I'm not really feeling this. But before we get into episode by episode, what I wanted to bring up too is that as I said, this is going to sound repetitive because I've already said it. Most of the plot is find dad, find the thing that killed your mom. But it's the little touches throughout the season of expanding the lore. Like, for instance, when they meet Meg and Scarecrow, you think that she's just this innocent girl who's having like angst problems, like Sam is, and just wants to kind of get away from everything until the very end of the episode, where you see her slice the guy's throat and she pulls out this goblet to get the blood. And then you're like, what the fuck is this? And then they don't address it for like another few episodes. And then you have the whole introduction of the Samuel Colt gun, the thing that can kill anything, and that's a thing throughout the entire show. It seems like so. It's not. It is like monster of the week. Find dad. Find the thing that killed your mom, which ends up being the yellow-eyed demon. But there's also like those little touches of let's try and make it something more than just monster of the week. You know?
For sure. Like, they do slowly bring in an arc,
Yeah.
which whether it's, Sam's dreams,
Yeah.
like
Exactly.
there is like an underlying plot going on. But yeah, it is very
It's
much
just it's more
Monster of the
subtle
Week.
though.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's they haven't really built up a real arc yet, but
Yeah. All right. Episode by episode.
let's do it. I'm
My
ready.
little gatefold DVD. The
Now, you
quickest way to
recently rewatched this.
yeah.
I have not, but I remember season one very well, I think.
Okay, that's good. Yep. So episode 1, pilot, obviously like woman in white.
Classic.
Yeah. Classic, dude. Who's driving your car?
Yeah.
Older, Scully.
Yeah.
Yep.
Classic. What's
Yep.
real about you? My boobs.
I told you my name is Nugent. Ted Nugent.
It's funny watching early Supernatural as far as Jensen and Jared because Dean hasn't quite used the Dean voice yet.
Yeah, exactly.
He's much more Jensen than he is Dean.
Towards the end of season 1 is where it comes in.
Yeah, like he's not more, he's like Sammy. He's
Yeah.
more like, hey Sam, let's go find Dad.
Yeah. Dad's on a hunting trip and
He
he
hasn't
hasn't
been
been home.
home in a few days. Where later he'd be like, Dad's on a hunting trip. He hasn't been home.
That is true. That
Yeah,
is very true.
yeah,
I remember when you told me that he puts on a voice for Dean, I was like mind blown.
yeah. Jared looks like a baby in season
He
one
does.
as well.
He does. He really does. And one of my favorite special features before we continue is the day in the life of Jensen and Jared.
Yeah,
Yep.
classic.
Yep. That's one
With
of
the
my
knife throwing.
Yep. Episode 2, Wendigo.
A classic. What can
Classic.
I say?
Classic.
Most of these are just gonna be like classic.
Showtime, you freaky bastard! Yeah, that's right. Bring it on, baby. That tastes good.
Yeah,
Yep.
Wendigo's cool. That's a fun one, just because it's very like outdoorsy. It's also like
Yeah.
the concept of the Wendigo is
It,
creepy, but then
it,
they go far enough to make it actually creepy when you see it
it
too.
reinforces my fear of camping in the woods.
Yeah, exactly. I always remember where it calls help me," and then the guy that was
Yeah.
running and gets grabbed. Like that's so good.
Like my brother's like, "Oh, why don't you ever go camping?" I'm like, "Have you seen anything ever?" Like I am not getting killed in the woods.
Uh,
uh, episode 3 is actually one of my favorites. That is Dead in the Water.
it's a creepy one. That
It
one
was a
that
yeah,
that was one that scared me when I was younger
yeah,
because
that one's scary. It's just like the overall mood of that episode.
yeah, it's very
It's not
depressing.
necessarily like it's just more disturbing than it is.
Yeah, I always remember the image of the drowned boy in the water where you see the
It's
top half of it.
Jason.
Yeah, it's creepy,
I
man.
know. Yeah, you could definitely tell that took inspiration from Friday the 13th.
Oh yeah, for sure. But yeah,
Yeah,
that's always been a creepy like the little boy that can't speak because he's traumatized, all that stuff. Like
yeah,
that
and he's like,
always that sticks with you.
yeah, he's sorry, I gotta readjust here. He's drawing like all the pictures, and then anytime there's water, it turns into like the black goo water.
Yeah. Well, I remember it was in every recap for season one pretty much at the beginning of every time it was like saving people, hunting things, it would show them popping out of the water with the
Oh
kid.
yeah, I know, yeah. I don't know what's going on. Ugh. All right.
You dying?
Well, there's like sometimes like part of my side tightens up, so
Gotcha.
I just got to readjust sometimes because it's just like, oh, your leg's been in position for far too long. Episode 4, Phantom Traveler. This reinforced my fear of flying.
Yeah, this is one you don't watch if you're going on a plane.
Yeah, it's like watching a plane crash movie before you go on a plane. This is that episode. And was this the first time, other than the pilot, they're dealing with a demon? Because I mean, they're not really
Yeah.
dealing with the demon in the pilot, but you see the shadow of Azazel.
Yeah, but like you don't know that what killed her mom's a demon until like
Exactly.
later.
Yeah,
No, yeah, this is the first time we see a demon, but even this demon's weird because it behaves very differently than most demons later on in the series. But
yeah, that's true.
that's just one of the things we were starting out. They haven't fully established the lore,
Yeah.
so it's like yeah, they exercise it, but like this demon like possesses the plane.
I love Dean in this episode where it's like, oh, this can't be normal.
Yeah, yeah.
Come on, that can't be normal.
Hey, it's just a little turbulence.
Sam, this plane is going to crash, okay? So quit treating me like I'm freaking Thor.
You need to calm down.
Well, I'm sorry, I can't.
Yes, you can.
Dude, Stowe, the touchy-feely self-help yoga crap, it's not
Listen, if
helping.
you're panicked, you're wide open to demonic possession, so you need to calm yourself down right now. Good.
But like even like when did they ever use maybe once or twice Christo? Like that never is a thing later. Do you
Yeah.
know how many times they could have spotted a demon by going Crystal? They never do it again.
Yep. Episode 5 is an urban legend one, Bloody Mary.
Yeah, that
This
one
is a-
scared me as a kid.
That was yeah, because it was like yeah, you say Bloody Mary into a mirror 3 times, and then she appears and gouges your eyes out. So it's like It's like, of course, like the episode's telling you not to do it, but of course, if you're watching it and like the
yeah.
stupid characters in this episode, they're gonna do it.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
you like it's one of those things where it's like I want to try it, but at the same time, I don't want to die in real life. You know,
Yeah. No,
it's one
yeah.
of those types of things. Yeah, that's a fun one. Episode 6, Skin.
Oh yeah, the shapeshifter one.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a classic.
it's a great one. Yeah, which they completely destroy the lore of the shapeshifters later on.
Oh
Especially,
yeah.
I'm looking at you, Jeremy Carver.
Yeah, I mean, it was such an interesting visual with them ripping off the skin, which they used in The Boys, which Eric Kripke made
Oh,
later.
yeah. Did they
The Boys has a shapeshifting character that does the same thing where they rip off the skin, and it
do
was
the eyes
very.
turn yellow in the light?
I can't remember. There might actually be a lens flare, but I can't remember.
Okay.
But I remember that it was like the same thing. You find like their goopy, previous skin around.
Yeah.
And that was such a cool visual and a cool like new way to do shapeshifters compared to most things. And then later Supernatural's like, nope, they're all Mystique now. And I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
just shifting like normal. Like when the Alpha Shifter did it, I'm like, oh, that's cool. He's more powerful. But when every other
I
shapeshifter does
forgot about the alpha shifter.
how dare you?
Well, I mean, that was in that run that was kind of weak, so can you blame me?
Well, we'll get there. Season
Yeah.
6, I will defend parts of.
Yeah. Yeah, the thing I like about this too is that this kind of has like strands of continuity. The shapeshifter takes the persona of Dean, like it shapeshifts into Dean. Like Dean later on, like there's so many mentions of him being like wanted, which is really cool. There's like those little continuity things that pop up.
Yep.
Uh, Episode 7, definitely inspired by I Know What You Did Last Summer, Hookman.
Oh man, yeah, that one's solid. It's a classic, but when I rewatched it with my wife,
I hate
like,
this. They have a picture of the Hookman, but they never
yeah,
show him in the episode.
you never see him in the episode, really. Yeah,
You never see his face, at least.
yeah, it's an okay one. It's a solid one.
Yeah, that's a solid one. It's not. I remember really loving that one when I was little, but then watching it like recently, I was like, this one's just okay.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah.
Mm.
Episode 8 is Bugs.
Bugs sucks.
Yeah, I don't like it.
It's a terrible episode.
I don't really like
It's
it.
real
Get the
bad.
hell off my property and get out of this town. Like, leave
It's
our family alone.
it's first off like yeah, if you're scared of bugs, this could be scary, I guess, and gross. But
But it's like the bugs don't do anything particularly scary.
well, one of the stupidest things in all of Supernatural happens in this episode.
What?
Okay, so I watched this like last October. I watched a few season 1 episodes with Casey, and we both pointed out um the end of the episode. The whole thing is right at midnight or whatever.
Oh,
the
yeah.
bugs are gonna come kill you all, and then so they take the family and they run inside. They go to the attic.
I know what you're talking about now.
Not 5 minutes pass,
And it's daylight.
and it's morning. I'm like, you established that it was like midnight, and then suddenly it's sunrise after we saw like 2 minutes of Jensen with a flames going.
Yeah,
Get
he's
out
just
of
been
here!
spraying that for 8 hours.
It's so stupid.
Yeah.
It's such a terrible episode.
Yeah, who
It's
wrote that
awful.
one?
This is like straight up.
Was this a Robbie Thompson episode?
I don't know. It's terrible.
No, it wasn't. It was directed by Kim Manners, though.
Sorry, Kim, but this is a terrible episode.
Yeah.
Not your fault. Terrible.
I don't think Robbie Thompson was here at this point. So, all right, episode 9. I love. I think this is the first one where Sam starts to get his visions. Home.
Yeah, Home's really good.
Home is fantastic.
It's like Poltergeist a bit.
Yeah,
but I love the twist of the episode. I think
trip down memory lane.
Yeah, the twist I think is very emotionally satisfying, and I love Missouri Mosley.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
why the hell is she only brought back like 13 seasons later once? Like, she should have been like at least a somewhat recurring character.
She should have been like we're not saying she should have been like Bobby. Like
no, I mean she should have been around pretty much just as much.
I know. Well, that was going to be my next point. She should have at least been in like a good chunk of the show.
Yeah, she's great. And every time I watch this episode, I'm like, why the hell didn't she use her? Why did we have to suffer through
I remember
terrible side characters?
I remember when she came back, I was like, Wasn't she in like the second episode of season 1?
She was in early season 1. She comes back in like season like 13 or whatever, and then they kill her. Spoiler alert! On the
Yeah.
episode she comes back in to set up her like granddaughter or whatever for the spinoff. I'm like, shut up.
Dude, once we get to season 9, we got to talk about the really terrible spin-offs that they've had.
I know.
Yeah. And our idea, that should be what they should be doing for spin-off. Episode 10 is Asylum.
Asylum's creepy. It's creepy.
It's a fun one.
Yeah, it's creepy.
Next time somebody says a place is haunted, don't go in.
The part I always remember is when the guy kisses the girl that he thinks is his girlfriend, and it's one of the ghosts.
Yeah,
That's really
that's
creepy.
creepy. Yeah. Yep. That is really creepy. Episode 11, my personal favorite of the season, Scarecrow.
It's a classic. It's such a
such
vibe.
a classic. Such a
Yeah.
classic. Made me afraid of scarecrows. I've always been afraid.
Hope your apple pie is freaking worth it. Yeah, classic. And the scarecrow is still scary. He's still iconic.
Oh, I know. Yeah. Scary stories to tell in the dark has nothing against this episode.
And it's funny, I've seen a lot of those actors that for some reason that stick out to me that play the townspeople in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've seen a lot of those actors in like a lot of shows and movies as like small roles, and I always think of them in this episode as like the weird townspeople that are like sacrificing their niece. Like,
yep.
we have to do this. We have to save the town.
You got a plan? I'm working on it. 5 hours later, still working on that plan. I'm working on it. But also the introduction of Meg cannot go overlooked with this episode.
She's great. Rest in peace. She's great.
Yeah, I know.
Nikki, what was her name? Nikki Cox.
Nikki Acox. Yeah.
Yeah, she's great. She was fantastic.
Rest in peace. Cancer sucks.
She was a fantastic
The
actress.
OG Meg, the best Meg.
I agree. I don't hate second Meg, but I thought this Meg was way more intimidating.
She's way more intimidating, more mysterious. Like, because here's the thing. She seems so innocent, but you know that there's something weird. There's something off. Like, why is she in the same place Sam is?
Over and over, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought she was really intimidating, and I thought that aspect of the Meg character got lost with a different actress.
Yeah.
Where some of the writing they decided to do with Meg, but in season 1, Meg was really intimidating and like a really good film.
Even though she's only in like 3 episodes.
Yeah, she's super memorable. Like,
yeah, she is. But this guy, I guess this isn't necessarily season 1's fault, because I was thinking about this while I was watching season 1, but this kind of reinforces my problem with like the later seasons, where it's like, okay, they just kind of introduce the main villain halfway through, then there's like 5 episodes that go by, and then they come back, and then another 5 go by, and then it's done. Like I feel like later on in the show, they wait way too long to introduce the main villains and the actual like plot of the season. I kind of felt like for some reason I was thinking that when I was watching this episode, where I was like, oh, they really introduced Meg like really late into the season.
Well, I think that works better in season 1 than later, because with
season 1,
I
agree.
you have to set up the heroes first. You have to set up the world.
I agree.
Future seasons, it's like,
because
you should have the problem show up earlier, because we're already
that was like, we'll get there when we get to season 6, but like comparing it to season 1 for a minute, like you were saying, like, they had to go through all the stuff where it's like you have to establish these guys as the heroes, but like season 6, where the mother of all shows up, I'm just like, and then immediately
we're
like,
gonna
gone.
fight so hard about season 6.
Immediately gone.
We're gonna fight so hard about
I'm like, you were only in 3 episodes. Why?
That's okay.
Yeah.
We're gonna fight so hard in that season, I can already tell.
Yeah. I will mostly defend season 6, I think.
We'll see. We'll see. It sounds like you're a hater to me.
Episode 12, Faith. I didn't like this one on this watch.
Faith with the Reaper, right?
No, dude. Like, I vividly remember, I've always had that image or that scene ingrained in my mind where Dean's getting healed, but then the Reaper is another like spot, like killing the jogger, because you go to a faith healer, he heals you, but at the same time he takes your life, or he doesn't take your life, but he kills someone else, and it's a Reaper. I don't know. I just felt compared to the others, there wasn't as much momentum in this episode.
Yeah, it's a slower one for sure.
It's the first like slower one. I remember like I was like, I'm kind of sleepy watching this one.
Yeah, it's a slow one, but I like the messaging of it of like cults and like
Yeah,
like religious extremism and how far people will go to like
yeah.
and I like what's her name, the actress that plays the sick girl is also from Dexter and Boondock
Oh,
Saints.
the one that Julie Benz.
Julie Benz. She's a great actress, and I feel like she's
Yeah,
great.
Boondock Saints too.
Yeah, it's not good on rewatching it.
I know it's not.
I watched it last St. Patrick's Day after Boondock Saints won, and I went, "Ooh, no, this is a big step down.
Yeah,
It's a big
no
step
wonder
down."
why we haven't gotten a third one.
Yeah, that's the second one's rough. That's a bad movie.
Yeah. But yeah, no, she's great.
But
But
yeah, it's Fate's okay. It's not great, but
I
I think the Reaper design I think is great.
Oh,
And
the
then
Reaper design's great. Like, where was
they
that?
kind of completely abandoned that design.
I was gonna say, where was that in later in the show?
They went from like that to like, oh, it's a hot chick, to the next time you see them, it's like, oh, it's just old dudes in a tie. It's like, no, that guy was more than just an old guy. All right, he
My
was creepy.
name's Death. Yep. Oh man, so much fun down memory lane with all
I
these.
know it's very nostalgic. It's really hitting.
Yeah. Episode 13, Route 666. Nah, not a fan.
Uh,
I don't
I,
hate it. I don't love it.
this one in my mind is just the racist truck one.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. There's that whole racist overtone with it.
It's just kind of I don't know. I like the Dean relationship's kind of like the whole thing's kind of like.
I don't. Yeah, like I don't love it. I don't hate it, but it's just one of those
I've,
episodes that's just kind of there for me.
I've never been a big fan. It's just the racist truck. That's all I think of.
Yeah, yeah. That's all I remember too is the racist truck. Yeah. Episode 14, Nightmare.
Oh yeah, that was a good
The
one.
telekinetic kid.
Yeah, and that kid's always really good at playing crazy.
Yeah.
I remember on Smallville, he
That
was good at that
was
too.
was that the same kid from season 5 of Smallville, Hidden? The one that was going to
No,
launch the missile?
nope.
That wasn't
But
him.
similar vibe.
Yeah.
This kid played Parasite in Smallville in season 9.
Ah, okay.
And he was also in something else I watched too, where he's good at playing like
Psychotic.
losing his like and he was always very memorable in this episode of Supernatural. I always remember him telekinetically holding up the gun.
Yep. Listen, I know it was a vision, but I'm on the Sam and Dean death count for the whole show. 1 for Dean.
Oh,
I'm counting how many times they die throughout the show.
Shot through the head,
Yep. Even
and
though
then
it's a
this
vision, it
also
doesn't count, but I get
this,
it's
this
a vision.
also this contributed to the main plot of the first couple seasons where it's the first introduction of like there's other psychic kids.
Yeah.
And
Sam's having visions.
Sam's having vision, not only visions in this episode, he
Is this the one?
moves
Wait,
a chair telekinetically,
Yeah.
which they don't follow up on for like 3 or 4 seasons.
Is this the one? I
It
should
was
know.
always like I was always pissed because I'm like, why do you set up that Sam's moving shit with his mind and then they don't do anything with it until season 4? I'm like,
Yeah.
that was kind of a big deal. Then it eventually comes back around. But I
Yeah.
remember for those watching it live, I was like, why aren't we having Sam do more than just have weird visions when we saw he can?
Make him a fucking X-Men.
I'm of the opinion Sam's psychic ability should have remained throughout all of Supernatural.
It should have. I agree.
I think he should have been off of it for a while after season 4 because of plot.
What he was doing. Yeah.
But when he eventually it should have come back and he should have used it for good.
Yeah.
Like for any others they made it a whole thing where it's the demon blood, but like you could find ways to get around that. Maybe he doesn't actually need the demon blood. Maybe that was a trick. Something.
Maybe he just loves sucking Ruby's demon blood.
Once Sam lost his powers,
he became really boring.
Unfortunately, I think Sam peaks at like season 4.
Yeah.
I think that's the most interesting, and like season 5, and they give him some interesting things later, but most of the time it's things happening to him instead of him actively doing things.
Yeah,
which I always have a problem with Sam later because I love Sam in early Supernatural.
He's great.
He's a great character, and then I feel like the Sam we get later is a different person in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
I always found him so enjoyable and like innocent and like trying to do good, and then watching him kind of descend in season 4 and like, but for the right reasons.
Right.
And then eventually in later seasons, he's just kind of this like pretentious, like not fun guy.
Asshole.
Yeah, I mean, he becomes not nearly as fun as he used to be.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if it's just because his bangs went away, I don't know.
He takes the time to groom his hair in the morning.
Oh my god, his hair at the beginning of season 8 is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's so stupid looking. Like why would Sam Winchester look like he spent all morning having his hair done in a trailer? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. I should know because I literally just watched the season, but is this also the first episode where he's having the visions while he's awake?
I think so. I think
Yeah.
so. Because he was dreaming in home, I think. I think he
Yeah.
was sleeping.
Yeah, that was a dream, and I think this
Yeah.
one is when he's awake because he starts getting the headaches.
Yeah.
Yeah. Episode 15, this would definitely be the MAGA cult's favorite episode, The Benders. Because
Yeah.
it's fun.
I've never been a big fan of Benders. I think
No,
it's
but the little
interesting.
girl is fucking creepy.
She's creepy. It's
This is
interesting.
okay.
but
This is definitely like if you're coming to Supernatural now after you've played Resident Evil Village, to you this is Resident Evil Village meets like Blair Witch Project or some shit. That's
Yeah, I
what it
don't know.
is.
The Benders never really stuck out much to me
No,
besides
but I
the
like the
fact that it's
idea.
humans.
I like the idea though, where it's like, oh, they're not fighting something supernatural. They're just
Yeah.
fighting batshit crazy backwards
It's
psycho
a good
lunatics.
it's a good concept, but I felt like those characters weren't interesting.
Yeah. The little
Like,
the little girl's creepy, but like the rest of
she's
them,
barely in it.
I know,
Like,
but
like
just her look, man. Like
sure.
she can barely be in it, but just looking at her, I'm like, nope. You mean business, okay?
I don't know. I'm not
Yeah.
a big Benders
Yeah,
fan.
I'm not really either. And then it's like that whole thing where it's like the cop. It's like, oh, my brother died, but like you're trying to find your cousin who I just looked it up. You're not really his cousin, are you? Yeah.
There's it's funny how like I mean it's a show that went on for like 300 episodes, but
Yeah.
the amount of times they would like use a fake alias that then they'd get found out, and then they, it's very like
But
you're not actually with the FBI at all. I called the FBI people.
Yeah.
They said
there's a charm to it though in the first few seasons.
Yeah,
Like especially later on when they actually like the people actually call and then Bobby's on the other line.
yeah. There's fun to it, but it is funny just like the little running things.
Yeah, like and speaking of that, like it's not this episode, but like I love the episode too where it's like, dude, I'm not using this fake ID. Why? Because it says female body or it says bikini inspector on it.
Yeah.
So it's just stuff like that. Like stuff like that has such a charm, you know. The pool hustling, the credit card scams, like the amount of times they mention how many more credit cards are we gonna have to like like just stuff like that, you know. Just a little side tangent. But yeah, Benders is just kind of
Yeah, I'm not a fan of it.
Yeah. Episode 16 is a great one, Shadow.
Oh yeah, Shadow's really good. It's got Meg coming back. You got John showing up.
Hell yeah, it does.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
Yeah, John showing up and essentially being like, fuck you guys, keep doing what you're doing by yourselves.
Yeah, John Winchester kind of sucks, doesn't he?
He's a terrible father.
I love Jeffrey Dean
father.
Morgan, but John was always kind of the worst.
Yeah,
like he's abusive in a way.
He's essentially a military drill sergeant.
Yeah, but he's more than that. He's like negligent. He leaves these kids to like fend for themselves.
Exactly.
And it's like he does that knowing that there's these terrifying monsters and demons that exist. Like you're gonna leave your kids by themselves in a motel room when like you're fighting monsters. Like what if the monsters go attack the kids?
Yeah, he was like Jonathan Kent. He had a couple of modes. He was like, "You boys fight by yourselves," or "Sam, I hate you."
Well, listen, Jonathan was a way better dad.
He was though.
Way better dad.
I mean, like you said, it was fuck the Luthers with him.
Yeah, like Jonathan wasn't perfect. He wasn't perfect, but he would not have like ditched Clark to go like fend for himself when he was like 2.
Yeah,
like literally, like John Winchester's like, "Hey, Dean, I know you're 5, but take this shotgun."
I know. Yeah, protect your little 2-year-old brother.
And Sam, how dare you want to go get educated? How dare you?
You are a disgrace to this family.
How dare you? If you go out that door, don't you ever go back. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a John Winchester fan, and you know what? Thanks to season 12. I'm not a Mary Winchester fan either. So,
to
hell with their parents on it.
You know, I defended her coming back after a while, but she overstayed her welcome.
I just didn't like how they used her. I didn't
Yeah.
like that she came back, and then I especially didn't like how they used her after.
Yeah.
And then she stayed, yeah, for like 3 seasons. I'm like, what is she still doing here?
And then she dies
Send her
again.
back.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
then
she
she
dies anyway.
it's like, so what was the point?
Yeah, I don't know. Mary should have
Um,
stayed dead.
episode 17. This gets to one of my favorite discs of season 1, disc 5, because this is like where all the scary ones are. Hell House is next,
Oh, yeah, Hell House.
which I never caught on to this before, and I don't know how I did it. And you're gonna call me absolutely fucking oblivious and stupid that
Yeah.
Harry and Ed's last names are Spengler and Zeddemore. I never caught on to that before.
Ghost Facers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, that's a fun one. Just trying to one up the Ghost Facers in every aspect.
Oh yeah, I mean that's the first Ghost Facers one is great.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's really not much to it though. It's just kind of like another
No,
haunted
it's
one.
yeah, it's a haunted house one with a weird
Yeah.
symbols.
Yeah, weird symbol that's actually the Blue Oyster Cult
Yeah,
logo.
I like that twist to the episode. I think that's fun.
Yeah.
And it's like whatever it is that the monster where it's the belief is what creates it.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, that was cool. It was like the record store guy is all responsible for it. Asshole. Episode 18, Something Wicked. Legitimately terrifying when I
with the thing in the window with the
the Striga.
The Striga.
Yeah. And then the old lady that looks like the old witch from Snow White.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that was the part that I actually remember most about that episode is the music.
Yeah, the
There's
music.
like a weird theme.
Yep.
That they never use again.
Yep.
And it was always really like I always even now I think of that episode like, oh yeah, they're like walking down the hall and there's creepy music and there's like a dude sitting in a room like
Yep. Mm-hmm. The music is wicked creepy in that episode.
Yeah.
That's
what I mean. They tried to be scary about that.
Yeah.
Or at least creepy, at least unsettling.
That's a good segue.
But then later they don't try at all.
That's a good segue though, because episode 19 is Providence. Scared the fucking shit out of me when I was little. Holy shit. This was like the level of scary where I was not ready for when I was little. I remember seeing this episode when I was little and being like, Mom, I'm going to bed tonight. There's nothing creepier than a portrait of an old dead family where the father's head moves and the little girl is actually out of the picture and there's a razor blade on the table in the picture, but then the razor blade is gone too and then people are getting their throats slit in real life. I'm like, what's scaring me?
It's true though. It's so true.
Yeah, it's so good, dude. Like immediately the episode opens on a shot of that picture, and you're just like, "Oh shit!"
I mean, that type of stuff always creeped me out, like Vigo and Ghostbusters. Like anytime there's
Vigo is nowhere near as scary as this family.
Dude, Vigo used to give me night terrors. Okay,
this family gave me night terror. The Isaiah Merchant's family gave me night terrors.
No, it is a creepy one. It is.
Yeah. That episode is still terrifying to me.
Yeah,
probably the most terrifying episode of season 1 for me. Where like, I don't think it reaches the heights of Family Remains from season 4 with how scary that shit was.
Family Remains was legitimately, I think, the scariest episode of Supernatural.
I think it is too, but this takes a close second.
That was terrifying, though.
Yeah,
that was terrifying. We'll get to it in season 1, but that scared the shit out of me growing up.
Yeah,
I was even like, I was like 15 when that episode came out.
I know,
and it was scary.
We were maturing and we were still scared. Episode 20 is a fun one. Dead Man's Blood.
Oh, the
vampire one with the random vampire that like the random lady that they save and then comes back as a vampire in the series finale.
Oh, yeah.
Is that her?
Yeah, that's her.
I was gonna say that's her, right?
You know what? Okay, I got something to say about this episode. I love Supernatural's version of the vampires, where they're less like mystical and they're more like sharks.
Yeah,
like they're more like I like the sets of teeth that come out above the other teeth. That's a cool visual distinction. They're not like they don't like burn up really in the sunlight.
They don't sparkle either. Thank God.
Yeah, they don't sparkle. They don't, and it's like you can't stake them. You have to chop their heads off. Like it's more like grungy vampires.
Yeah,
and I like all that, and I think it was really interesting. And I thought they were really intimidating in this episode. And they bring up like, oh my God, I don't think vampires exist, right? And his dad's like, oh, there's still some of them around. They're almost extinct. They're almost extinct? Sean, starting in season 6 through 15, they fight vampires like every 3 episodes.
I know.
They're all over the place, and
I
they're not
know.
scary at all.
Yeah, exactly. Like maybe if they were actually really like almost extinct, then they'd be scarier.
And they barely use them through season 1 through 5.
Yeah,
Like barely. Like
because they know because they're still following up on the continuity where it's like they're barely.
yeah,
Like,
it's like once every season, maybe you get a
Yeah.
vampire episode.
Yeah.
But starting later, every like 3 episodes of season 9 is a vampire. When we're not fighting nerfed angels, we're fighting vampires. And
Yeah.
it's kind of like, but like this started off so well. And like, yeah, you can make the plot argument like, oh, maybe when the alpha vamp was making all the army of vampires in season 6, there's a bunch of vampires now. Like, sure, but like, God, there was something about them early on that is so much scarier and more intimidating than later. But that's like for every villain in Supernatural.
Exactly. Yeah, you can
They
say that
start
about
off
anybody.
intimidating, and then the demon is Snooky in season 9. Like what
Well,
the hell
yeah,
are we doing?
yeah.
What are we
That's the
doing?
that's the problem. They change. They don't change meat suits when they should.
Ugh, and they're just not scary anymore. They're not intimidating.
Yeah, like Metatron. Metatron should not have been the chain smoking guy from Jingle All the Way.
Listen, I love Curtis Armstrong, but by the time he became the main villain, he should have switched.
Yeah.
He should have been something more intimidating.
Yep, I agree. All right, episode 21, Salvation.
This is like the penultimate one, right? It's like the
Yep.
one. It's like the first part.
Yep.
And the last two episodes feel like a 2-part.
Yeah, it is
Like
essentially.
they're very. And this
Essentially.
one starts with "Carry On My Wayward Son,"
Yep.
which was kind of crazy because that's not a season finale.
Right.
But
I remember this is
yeah,
the only season that does that.
yeah, then the finale has that "Fight the good fight." It's the only way.
Yep.
No, like this 2-part. I mean, I just mushed these because I can't remember which.
Yeah, we could talk Devil's Trap at the same time.
Yeah, they're like very together to me.
Yeah.
In my brain.
Yeah.
A lot of John Winchester doing stuff. Meg's back. You got Meg's brother who dies.
Yep. Bobby comes in Devil's Trap.
Bobby. Yeah, Bobby's good. Yeah, that scene when they exercise Meg is like a really good scene.
Yeah, which
And
I
it
always
seems-
thought was in Salvation. I didn't realize it was in Devil's Trap.
Yeah, it's the beginning of Devil's Trap.
Yeah.
And it's one of those where it feels it feels like exercising a demon is difficult.
Yeah. Sam, keep going.
Later on, it's not difficult.
No, you don't have to say it in Latin.
Literally in like season 10,
It's
you
like
walk
2
up
words
to
of
a
Latin.
You walk up and you're like, and they just immediately like exit the body. I'm like, what happened to like the whole like tough, you
Yeah.
have to tie him down in a Devil's Trap. You gotta like
Throw the holy water as much as you can. Yeah.
And like it's sad because they don't save the real Meg being possessed.
Yeah, and they say like they do this really creepy like I don't want to say a creepy visual, but like this kind of like disturbing line of dialogue where Bobby's like, no, if you exercise her, like that is she fell out of a window. That
Yeah,
is
she
a
will
broken
die.
body.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she'll die.
that body is broken.
Yeah, it introduced a cool, moral, difficult obstacle for them. That then, the show really kind of doesn't care about later. Like, how many people do Sam and Dean just straight up shank with the demon
Well,
killing knife
then-
and murder?
But okay, I agree. And then parts of this whole season is Sam like, this is our job, but unfortunately we can't save everyone, and like you can see that it's weighing down on them that they can't save everybody.
But
And
they
yeah.
willy-nilly murder a bunch of people later.
Yeah,
And then Sam later on, and I know we're not supposed to talk about later seasons much, but Sam in season 4 is like, my powers can pull demons out without killing the possessed person. And Dean's like, use the knife! Okay, we're just gonna murder. like, I'm sorry. Sam
Oh yeah,
used
that's
the
right, because
powers,
that's all.
but Sam was right in that instance.
That's right, because all they did was they would just stab them with like the sigil knife, right?
Yeah, they would kill the victim and the possessed person and the demon. Like, all the time they'd use that.
Yeah,
They wouldn't even try to like exercise them. They'd be like, "We're just gonna sneak up on this demon and shake them." Like, okay, cool.
yeah,
So I like that. That's here. That there's that moral like, oh, this will be difficult to like now that we know this, and then
Right.
they don't really do much with it later.
Yeah. You also have the introduction of Bobby Singer, one of the best characters the show ever had. And listen, okay, like you said, we're not supposed to talk about later seasons, but when you bring back characters from previous seasons, don't bring somebody back like fucking Charlie. No, you bring characters who are iconic back, like Bobby Singer, who are actual good characters.
Yeah, Bobby was great. Bobby
Yeah.
was like right away. He was great.
Yeah, he was awesome.
Just like Missouri Mosley.
Yeah, yeah. You know, like in this episode, like this is his first one. It's like he's got this like cool like junkyard, like this tow shop. Like he fixes up cars, but he's also a demon hunter at the same time.
Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
he feels like it.
Yeah,
Like there's a lot of
that type of person in the backwoods should be a demon hunter.
there's a lot of supporting characters later in Supernatural where they feel phony. They don't feel
Yeah.
like I don't believe that you're like a bad.
Charlie.
Well, Charlie, I love Charlie at first. Then shit happens. But like there are characters later besides Charlie, like a lot of other hunters later just feel like these like phony like dudes.
not even the hunters. It's like it's they bring back all the characters that should have just been one or two off characters. Like for instance, Donna Hanscom.
Oh yeah.
Should have been in one or two episodes.
I mean, that's a whole other issue for me because as much as I think Donna's kind of fun, like Donna is a cartoon character in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
You know, she's like a caricature of like that type of person living in that part of the world, you know.
Yeah.
Where Bobby, he felt like just a real genuine like dude.
Yeah.
Like, just and it
I feel like he's like John Winchester's like long lost brother or something.
I mean, I like that he in some ways he is kind of like their replacement father figure in a lot of ways, or at least like he's like the cool uncle.
Yeah.
And I mean, I just always liked Bobby a lot.
Bobby's awesome. I remember when I thought Jim Beaver was the guy in Spider-Man 2 who found Spider-Man's suit in the trash and was like, I can get more than that on eBay. I always thought that was him.
Why?
I remember I asked you one time, you're like, holy shit, is it him? I always thought that, but yeah, no, they don't look similar at all.
No, we have to bring up the Yellow-Eyed Demon shows up.
Oh yeah, shit, that's right. Yeah.
Played by Jeffrey Dean Morgan in a good twist.
Yeah.
That whole scene is really intense.
Possesses him, yeah.
Yeah. That's always stuck out.
Well, the scene too where it's like shoot him with the Colt. Like shoot your own father with the Colt.
Yeah, it's like really intense stuff. And then the very end where they get into the car crash is like really good ending, really like good cliffhanger.
How dare you do that to the Impala?
Yeah, like it's like the season ends with everyone injured and broken and like what the hell, where do we go from here?
Yeah.
And then season 2, you know, but yeah, I mean it was a good ending to season 1. I think it's you finally got to see who killed their mom, you know, like
and then I love how that's just springboards into them like tracking him down in season 2 to like they're like, okay, now we know what it is, and now we're actually gonna try and kill him. While he also has some plans for other psychic kids.
Yeah, there's enough groundwork for like I feel like season 1 did a good job of like it's monster of the week, but between Sam's dreams and like the yellow-eyed demon, like and John. Like there was enough groundwork to lay for like season 2 is really good, and I think a lot of that like season 1 did a good job of establishing it.
That's the thing. Every show, season 1 has to establish it, and then you can just springboard off that and take it to whole new levels in the next seasons, which is what season 2 ends up doing. We will talk season 2 very soon. I think that's a good wrap up point. So, Pat's overall final thoughts on season 1.
Good. It's good. It's a classic. A lot of it's just super nostalgic for me.
Yeah.
I love the vibes most of all. I love the traveling around with dark filters. It's moody. It's a little creepy. It's a little like just fun. And it's before I think, you know, eventually it's very different from what the show eventually became.
Yeah. For sure.
I think it's a snapshot, I think, of what Eric Kripke really originally
for sure.
It to be.
For sure. For sure. It was just, which is why I think he only envisioned it for 5 seasons. So, yeah, the fact that they got 10 more after that is, it's crazy when you really think about, like, I guess, it's going to my final points, like, season one, I don't know, like shows like this, you don't really expect lasting as long as they do. And then at a certain point, it's just like, how did this get so popular? But syndication, it was on TNT all the
Oh
time.
yeah, and I think because it is very like Monster of the Week in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
It's easy for people to jump into,
Yeah,
and like
exactly.
there's not a lot of characters that are like around, so it's like,
Right.
and Sam and Dean are both, especially early on, both so good that like
Yeah,
you kind of just can instantly fall into it. Like you
exactly.
get it. You're like, oh, it's these two brothers fighting monsters. Like you get it.
Right. Right. Exactly. Like like not just like monsters, not like Godzilla, but like
Yeah.
supernatural monsters.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think syndication really helped it, but I don't know, like as much as I found myself disliking some episodes more on this rewatch, like I can't deny the fact that like it really did turn out like a cultural impact. Like I feel like if you go up to somebody who has never seen the show and it's like, have you heard of Supernatural? They'll be like, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that that's a testament to season one. Just like this is the beginning of 327 episodes, which is insane. Yeah, insane,
Yeah.
insane. Yeah. So, yeah, those are my thoughts on season one. Pat, where can they find you?
You can find me on Blue Sky. I forget what the handle is there, but if you just look Pat Guy, it's probably there.
Yeah, it's there.
And then on YouTube, my channel is called Agamotto. Mostly talk about Bleach, which is another thing about people fighting supernatural ghosts and
Yeah,
stuff. So
Bleach is really good.
you're a fan of that
The
type
four
of stuff,
movies I've seen.
I'm reading and watching Bleach for the first time, so reacting to that. So
Nice.
yeah,
Nice. Did you see all four Bleach movies?
I've seen all four now. Yeah,
Yeah, those are good too.
like, we're good. Yeah, we're good.
Yeah. All right. You can find me at my official website, alexmaddenmovies.mystrikingly.com. All my social media links are there. Stay tuned for more supernatural content throughout the year since it's the 20th anniversary, as well as some awesome James Bond content coming soon and the usual movie reviews. You guys are the best. Thank you for watching. My name is Alex. That is Pat. As always, my co host for these types of videos. We'll see you at the movies somewhere.
Driver picks the music. Shotgun shuts his cake hole.